Hello everyone. This is Oni, and today for you I have a review for Immortal Unchained. Now, Immortal Unchained is an action RPG with Dark Souls-like aspects in it, and was developed by a studio called Toadman Interactive, and it was published by Game Odyssey for PC and consoles in September of 2018. Um, If you're following along with the video, there's just random bits. This is literally the beginning of the game and me failing at it, figuring out all the controls and everything. And if you'd like to read the written article, it's in the description down below. So how about we just get into it, shall we? All alone you wake to find the world in complete disrepair, and for some reason, you're in a cell aboard a space prison known as the Core. As you escape, you learn of a dark force sweeping across the planet that is threatening all life, and you're told that you were brought back to life to stop a prophecy from coming true. Now it's time to venture to the planets, stop the looming threats from destroying everything, and save the universe. The story of the game is very much told in a Dark Souls kind of way, where almost everything is told through the use of the environment and talking to some characters multiple times. Now and again, you may get a cutscene that plays more like a comic strip, but these never really have anything important to say. If anything, they're used for the sense of, look how you got stronger after killing this boss. Whew! Unfortunately, the story is kind of basic, and I saw the twist coming from a mile away when it comes to the antagonist. But the game tries to do a crazy fourth wall break at one point, and I just left baffled that the devs actually did that. Mostly because fourth wall breaks just sometimes ruin the experience depending on how they're done. As you go through the game, you come across just a few NPCs that's, if you keep talking to them over and over, you end up advancing a quest line that you can continue if you find them. Other than one of them, I don't necessarily find any of these too interesting. Although, maybe it doesn't help that I failed an event and one of the characters ended up dying, but it's not like I knew that could happen. Although, with the style of gameplay, I really should have expected it. The gameplay is where the game becomes a little rougher around the edges, but I couldn't stop playing or thinking about it no matter how much it infuriated me to no end. The gameplay is a mix of gunplay and melee combat, and it's almost necessary to be good at both, depending on the situation or even the enemies. There was one kind of enemy that took almost no damage from bullets, but took massive damage from melee. As you defeat enemies, you get experience points known as bits. You use these bits to level up one of many attributes like strength, perception, agility, and so on. I found myself honestly kind of upgrading these without any real proper path. The reason for this is because the requirements for weapons were all over the place. So sure, I needed 10 strength and 15 agility for this assault rifle, but I may need 20 perception for the next assault rifle instead of the stats I was just leveling. The requirements made no sense, so again, I was just upgrading these stats seemingly out of nowhere with no real path to a specific class. The bits are also used to open every new area in the game. Sure, this is only used twice, but why do I need to use 4,000 experience to unlock the next area? When it comes to the gunplay, this is where a lot of the issues in the game arise, unfortunately. So you have your reticle for said weapon in the middle of the screen, and you'd think, okay, this is fine. Except it's not, because bullets will scatter wherever they want, whether in your reticle or not. I was left just burst firing most automatic weapons, hoping for the best if I was at a distance. But even if I used, say, a sniper rifle, this had its own problem, because you cannot zoom in on the scope. It's all over the shoulder, all the time. Why even have a sniper rifle in the game if you can't use it like a sniper rifle? Also, what kind of third-person shooter doesn't have a shoulder swap option? There were so many times I would have loved to shoot around a corner on my left side, but couldn't because of this. The areas in the game are all beautiful in their own right, from a beautiful forest to what is basically the inside of a volcano. I couldn't stop snapping screenshots of the game. I mean, it's not overly polished, but it's beautiful in its own right, and I absolutely loved the sci-fi aesthetic. But I did get sick of seeing some of these areas again and again when I was trying to progress. The game never seemed to get the perfect pacing for checkpoints. They were either so close together you're left thinking, why? Or so far apart you're left screaming, why? It doesn't help that when you defeat enemies, they don't drop ammo unless you have a skill slot fitted with an ability for enemies to drop ammo. But even then, it's just one bullet. Helpful for snipers, but nothing else. So you can only get more ammo at checkpoints, or you can use a consumable item that only has a finite amount per playthrough. Use too many, and you're screwed. It was awesome trying to figure out how to defeat each enemy in the most efficient way possible, if I'm being honest. If you try to brute force every area in the game by just shooting things in the face until they die, you'll be in a few hard spots for quite a while. I tried it many times before I realized I needed to actually learn things. So the game in all actuality plays a lot slower than one would expect, as you take your time and wait to get behind most enemies to shoot their weak point. But I missed some of these weak points on many occasions only because aiming sucks a lot. Even after lowering the sensitivity, sometimes the game would just make the reticle zoom across the screen. There's an auto aim option that is automatically turned on, and this is partially the reason for this issue. Either it doesn't work at all and you can learn to work without it, or if it does work, it overcorrects for you, so you end up shooting the wall that's 3 feet to the right of the enemy. I had a harder time with most basic enemies than I did any boss in the game. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I guess most bosses were big deadly enemies, whereas a basic enemy is small. Either way, it all just takes a lot of getting used to. The last thing I will say is that the armor system in the game is something I can't say I've ever seen. Instead of finding armor to equip from fallen enemies or buying some in stores, you find weird little altars in the areas, and you interact with them to get armor or other upgrades. So you may end up getting an upgrade that gives damage reduction, or an extra grenade, or extra ammo. As you find these altars, your character slowly gets more armor on him, which I thought was cool, but I did feel a bit underpowered sometimes in terms of damage reduction, and was left wondering if I missed any. So as much as I love this, I wish I had a more traditional system. Oh, and also, the pause button does not stop the game at all. I really enjoyed this game because I love weird spins on the Soul genre. I do wish the gameplay was more polished and there were more weird characters with crazy storylines, but for what's here, it's definitely worth a play. And that's why I'm going to give Immortal Unchained a 6 out of 10. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this review. If you'd like to keep up to date with everything I do, my Twitter link is in the description down below. If you'd like to join the No Gamers Discord channel and talk to me about this review or old reviews or just anything at all, link is in the description down below. I think that's everything. So until next time, I hope you all have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good night. And until next time, goodbye.